Hello, everybody. Welcome to our show. My name is JJ Abbink. Welcome to Rumblin Wrestling. It's a long time. I actually done a real wrestling show. Yes, I did the predictions and I did the review for Extreme Rules. But it's really something a long time I actually been talking about. Just the product itself, from where is it going, etc., etc. My point of view is that actually, we came to this topic when we were actually scheduling our new agenda, our new shows for our channel. And actually, we were talking about it from, hey, here lays something. We actually, the productive team, John Mathieson, um, we were actually talking about it and went over this issue. Um, and we had a very good talk about it from, but where is it actually now? Is there something in it? Because if we already have something, wow, this is way getting too much. Because we were actually talking about to do actually once per week a show where we just talk about the content of WWE. So, like a weekly review. And we were starting to debate from, well, what do you do? Are we only talking then Raw and SmackDown? But is it then fair that you don't take NXT along, 205 Live, main event, etc., etc.? But then we think, yeah, but wait a second, we have to do all that content in maybe a half hour, an hour show. It's like you are taking it something to a whole bowl, right? And trying to fit it in one show, and it's way too much content for that little time we have, and we want to talk about it. It's getting too much. And is there the problem actually laying? And you think about, but JJ, really, the creative sucks. Absolutely, the creative department is a major problem. But the problem lays also where if you go from there, can it divide it to other departments as well? Think about it. The roster is so humongous deep. I can't remember actually that the roster has been this deep. Is there already the issue laying? Because you want every wrestler to be on the schedule, to have something to do, to be on the show. You pay them for them. Otherwise, they just go home and receive their monthly paycheck and sit on their behind. Fine, there is an issue. Because you can't write every time a storyline for every wrestler because it's getting too much and there's way too less broadcasting time. Oh, way too less. I mean, they have a whole network. They have several shows, as I said, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, main event. Think about it, right? And you have 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, an hour NXT. I think it's even a half hour main event or an hour. I can't remember. I don't even watch that show. Already after Raw and SmackDown on Tuesday, I had something else. It's dragging. And that's the thing. If you have so much time of content to fill, could you, as a creative department, all fill that up with storylines, directions to go, etc., etc.? It's like if you take a piece of bread, right, and you take marmalade, and you only have this jar of marmalade, right? The rest of the marmalade is sold out. I know, sounds very Russian, right? But in the time of the, you know what I mean, before the wall came down. No, but let's take it to that degree, right? So you have only this bottle of marmalade, and you have all these pieces of bread you have to fill with marmalade. And you have equal portions because every piece has to go to one child. The child is the viewer in this moment. So every time, so how much more pieces of bread you have, how thinner the layer is going to get. Is it too much content? The 3 hours is too much? Sometimes, and what I also notice is that uh, on Raw, they even put wrestlers for twice in the evening while the rest is sitting at home. Isn't that there something wrong? I mean, for example, last pay-per-view, Samoa Joe was not even on the card, and he is in the main event spot. Why is he not having a match? Is it not more important to put all the main eventers on the show? And aren't we forgetting then that those more coming in the place? Now we have to have, for example, the last card we had to have, for example, Sin Cara against what is that dude from Mexico? That is the problem. We all have to from each layer get something, and that's wrong. Should not get all the main eventers who work for them and get there. But then it's the question, yeah, but how do you work for that if you never get a spot? That is a problem where we're now facing. The roster is way too deep. No one gets fired. They just the funniest thing. Now here they just hired some new guns for WWE, right? For NXT. We keep hiring, right? But who gets released? Think about it. So you all have to fit them in. You have this time, and it's way too much content. Trust me, right? May I ask you something? Be honest with me. Have you ever seen Raw? After 3 hours Raw, how it is going? Have you not something like ever? Oh my God, really? I have it sometimes, and then I have to start still on SmackDown. It's getting too much. And then the demand that we also watch NXT, 205 Live, main event, all the same thing over and over. Trust me, I do like pro wrestling. Don't get me wrong, people, but it's too much. I do like a good movie, but that means that I don't watch all the time movies, right? That's the same with wrestling. I do like professional wrestling, but I don't want to watch every hour of the day pro wrestling, right? That's the same thing. It's the same if you like pasta. Do you eat it every hour of the day? No, you get sick of it. You get tired of it. There's the thing. Is there too much content? I mean, think about it. What these guys of creative have to write for. I'm not defending him because there is an issue then, because they can't really write down. Think about it. They have to write storylines for the wrestlers, for Raw, for SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, an event. And then also build them all up to the main event where it all has to come up, to the pay-per-views. There you have to write it down. And also in that content, you have to protect, the character. From what does it fit to the character? Where's the character development? And that is the problem. So we're bitching a lot about the creative department, absolutely. And I think it's not easy work. The thing is, if you now, for example, let's take about one area that went very well with creative department. That was the attitude area. I think it's my favorite area. I think I speak for a lot of people who do also agree on that matter, that the attitude area was actually the best era. Creative wise, it was top peak. I know was always the best content, but every wrestler had on the show a spot. They have every time a storyline. It was fitting. It was also something when you saw Raw, you had something. Hey, I want to tune in next week for seeing how that developed. There was always a hook, because that's always missing. There's the creator already fading, because then they give, if they finally create a hook, they give an hour later away on social media. Oh, guys, people, you want to have this hook, right, to tune in. It's like if you are writing a series, uh, and from a guy is totally, gone, wasted, laying in bed in coma, is ready to die almost, he's almost gone for good. But suddenly wakes up. Oh, wow. Will he be okay? Then you have to tune in next week. That is calling a hook. Um, that is not anymore creative. If you have found your hook, then, for example, I will give you an example where there was a very good hook not so long time ago. Can you remember the Elimination Chamber when we suddenly had 7 men qualified for the Elimination Chamber when we had 6 spots? What do? That's how you should end Raw. That also did. What did WWE do? They went on social media and write, well, all men have to will be qualified. For all 7 men can get in the qualified in the chamber. Couldn't you have waited? Wouldn't you have a higher number of viewers if you waited that to the next week? You have automatically from people, hey, what's going to happen with that? I have to tune in. I have to find out. There's also an issue. So the following up is not good. So there is a creative failing, and that is a perfect example. The creative department is the one to blame. But then also the rosters. You have 3 hours of Raw to film every time storyline for every wrestler. It's tough to do. And that's the problem. Well, we make a standard concept, we repeat that and hope it doesn't fall out. Well, trust me, I can already predict next week's Raw how it's going. It's a promo, another guys join in, they have a match, probably 2 will probably more get involved. It will be turned around to a tag team match, and we start over from the same content. I'm not stupid. WWE, come on. You want us pro wrestling fans to be stupid, but I'm not. Far from it. I see through that, trust me. Anyway, there's a major issue there, because if you repeat every week, if your favorite series was every week the same episode, would you still tune in? I wouldn't. It's getting boring. That is already less motivated to tune in to the next week's episodes. There's an issue name. But then also, then you can say, yeah, but that means that we as creative department, we have to write every week a show for 3 hours to fill with unique content. And trust me, that is a work. But why should you stay on 3 hours then? Go back to 2. SmackDown is doing good actually on 2 hours. I like SmackDown. It's not much dragging. It's well, there's also some standard things, but it seems more creative-wise better doing. It's more getting with the flow. But then, of course, you can say, yeah, but then we can't put everybody on the show. Your roster is too deep. And trust me, there are guys on there that I would have something. I say, well, what do they do down there? Really? I'm sorry, I'm not going to name names because, for example, I'm thinking Apollo Crews, right? The big guy. When have we seen him? And trust me, that guy is not that interesting. He has big build and he's a typical Vince guy. But is this really working for him? Are you really interested in him? You think this was he still in the roster? Well, it's only popped into my mind. But that is also a problem. The roster is way too deep. maybe it's a wise idea to cut some guys so they can get a fair shake, maybe go on the indie circuit or go to New Japan Pro Wrestling or Impact or whatever, or ROH, so they get more time. They get a better paycheck in the end. But WWE is not neither doing because they're stupid, because they're feeding the concurrent that what they're scared of. They want to have a monopoly, monopolization position, and they want to monopolize the industry. They want to own it all. Think about it. They want to own it all. We buy their company, we buy their company, we take that talent, right? And who doing great on the indies will sign them also. Not that they ever will maybe make it to the TV, and if they do, wow. Another problem. And trust me, may I ask you an honest question now? I really would like you to answer this question and think about it. Do you watch all content of WWE? I mean, I know there are probably hardcore guys who sit from night to day watching the WWE network. So I'll tell you actually what I watch on the WWE network. This is the pay-per-views. Sometimes I like to watch, Table for Free. I like that, or an old pay-per-view, maybe some old episodes when it was good, creative-wise. But at the moment, these are all the portions. It's fake. It's not. I'll be honest. I'm so much to blame as either. I always say, well, it's creative, but it's more to it. There is way too much asking and demanding and offering too much content. And to think about it, you can say it's creative. Yeah, it's true. But the creative department also had to write these shows for all that content per week. Go you do that. These are also human beings. You can say, yeah, well, there's a SmackDown team, there's a Raw team. Absolutely. But you can't copy all the shows at once. It has to be unique. Right? Well, the storylines, what does on Raw, can't you do either on SmackDown or on NXT? There is whole WWE failing. Where the other smaller brands, Impact, ROH, and WPD, and jan-jaap, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Blah. Oh, tired, guys. They don't have that much content, and that's why they're not so much terribly failing at this point. The indies either. I mean, you go to a show, you're enjoying a wrestling show. WWE needs to maybe slow a little bit down with the content. Get less content. Release some guys. That's also more fair to them. Because you still got a very deep roster at this point. And that is the whole thing. That is the whole thing. That's what I'm slowly starting to realize. But that's actually what me and John discussed. But if we do a weekly show, because I also have to write the content, I can do a show then for 4 hours. It would be nice, but then I have a mouth of gummy every week, of talking. And then I also have to do other shows, with my gum mouth. Isn't that fair? So what do you do at this point? WWE. Where do you think? Well, I suggest you start maybe releasing some people. Releasing people you don't use. I mean, for example, Apollo Crews, with all due respect, the guy, and he probably may be talented. He's never seen it, but he probably must have some talent to be there at WWE. Maybe he can show that talent somewhere else. Is that not more fair to him than just sitting home after home and hoping one day he get a call from WWE from, hey, we need you? Just saying. Then maybe there's content. So bring Raw back to 2 hours. Keep SmackDown on 2 hours. I think that's all right. NXT, maybe a half hour. Main event, who needs it? 205 Live, let that integrate with Raw and SmackDown. So that shows also disappear. Then you can lift also the ceiling that you can only, doing the cruiserweights. That is ridiculous. So if you're cruiserweight, you can't compete for the other titles. Ridiculous. Because maybe there is talent who can be utilized for the main rosters, like Raw or SmackDown. And just keep it to Raw and SmackDown. I think it's more than enough. I mean, I'm not sitting waiting for all those shows to wrestle. And don't get me wrong, I do like NXT, all right? I do love it. I think it's a great show. But sometimes, after all that content of Raw and SmackDown, I'm really bummed out. And I think, really, again, I'll be honest, I am a major, what is his name? Tyler Black fan. You know, the guy from Amsterdam. I think he's awesome. That's a different issue. Age thing. But that is the thing, people. That's how I see it. Because if you have less time, less content, you can focus. You can create more. You have more marmalade to put on the bread. Isn't that so? Just saying. My name is JJ Abbink. I'm reporting for JJ Sports Studio. And yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to share this video, like the video, leave some comments what you think about it. If you have some great topics for our show, then leave them there. I'll always open. If you have any questions towards us about pro wrestling, don't forget to put them in the comment box or send it to our tweet via Twitter at JJ Sports Studio. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/JJ Sports Studio. Here on YouTube, youtube.com/DJ LiveTube. And don't forget at all, that's also very important to say so. Instagram.com/JJ Sports Studio. Don't forget to check her out. We're also there stuff there. And also, don't forget to follow us on vk.com/DJ Sports Studio and pinterest.com/DJ LiveTube. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. My name is JJ Abbink. I'm going to keep it quiet because my content is done. I don't want to flood you with too much content here on that channel. And I'll see you soon again with a new show. Take care. Ciao.